Okay, guys, so we are into week 13 or whatever week we're in. This is a different year. Um, and we're going to come back to our big ideas. You guys are starting a new independent piece here, our fifth, but it's time for us to start kind of shaping our ideas and thinking about where we're starting so that when we get closer to May, we have a good idea of how to lay out how our ideas have evolved. So, in early October, we looked at some big ideas, and we're going to look at those ideas again quickly here today. But our task for this week is to write an essential question. An essential question um, guides your work. It defines both what you create and how you create. But don't worry, it's easy. So let's think about those themes that we looked at before. Here we've got two artists working with spirituality in very different ways. Francis Bacon is somewhat critical of the church in his depiction here of a screaming pope, but Shazia Siskander is questioning ideas about Islam and Hinduism in her work. And there are many other artists out there throughout the course of history who have dealt with the idea of things that are bigger than us, whether we believe in them or don't believe in them, and how to portray that through imagery and selection of materials. Thinking about the community. We got the Gorilla Girls here making a comment about how women are treated in society. And then an unknown artist making a comment here about war as an activity on a pizza box. Um, Technology could be a tool that we use and explore, but it also can be a subject matter. So we have Andrew Ray giving us an illustration of somebody who's being gobbled up by their cell phone, and Nick Gentry, who's actually drawing on discarded floppy disks and using obsolete technology as his background for this portrait. Leaders in power. We have a very famous image here of a leader like George Washington by Rembrandt Peale. And we have the idea of how we execute power, how we use power, being commented upon Norman Rockwell. Um, the environment. Christo and his wife Jean Claude are wrapping islands to call attention to environmental issues. Agnes Dennis creates this wheat field in the middle of Manhattan and photographs it to make a comment about the relationship between an urban environment and a uh, more rural environment. And identity. Cameroons, one of my old students, paints about what it means to be raised with an Eastern influence on his culture as an Iranian American, but taught by Western art standards like heavy brushstroke application. Richard Prince here is playing with stereotypes of masculinity in the Old West and advertising. Um, so, what it means to be a man, especially in probably like the 60s, cigarette ads and things like that. So, these ideas are out there and have been for a while, and there are more. No, these are just six that we can kind of all like look at. And remember when we talked about it before, they overlap, right? Identity, spirituality, religion, power, leaders, all those sorts of things can kind of mesh together. So, what I want you to do for me is to take a look at your four independent projects thus far. Is there a connection to one of these themes? Remember, we looked at a couple of different portfolios and what those artists wrote about their portfolios. And we said that by using certain words and framing things in certain phrases, that the way that the readers were going to score those portfolios changed dramatically just based on the choice of words. So while these themes might not necessarily seem to hit home with you, take a look at what you've already done and say, can I fit this into the identity theme or idea? Can I fit what I already do into something about community? Okay. Um, do that right now. Pause the video and take a look. Then come back and we're going to start writing. So here are the two things you're going to write. I'm going to put together a Google Doc for you so you can do this right there and we'll have a copy of it that won't go away. But the first thing I want you to write is fill in the blank. How do I show my feelings about fill in the blank? Identity, community, religion, spirituality, community, maybe even something else through my art. And the second question might be a little bit longer than the blank that I've given you here, but what materials or images do I think about when I think about power, leaders, spirituality, community, identity? One of those things, technology. Okay. Once we've got those two statements, we're going to take them and kind of blend them together. So the last thing I want you to think about or write is, can I use blank imagery or materials, um, a black girl walking, to create art about leadership, your big idea. That's it. Okay. Now, if this feels forced and fake and you're actually using the words that Mr. Walter has put down for you, don't worry. This can change over time. This is step one, and we'll continue to make more steps to make our point clear so that when you get to May, you can say, oh, yeah, remember back in November when I said my work was all about leadership, and now I'm looking at it and I think really it's something else? That's okay. That's going to show them that you have evolved in your thinking. So now it is time for me to stop the video, which is everybody's favorite part because I'm so slick when I do it.